In 24 years of selling on eBay and several years now full time, got up, got out of bed, dragged a comb across my head, but also did what I always do, wrapped everything. It's always good after you send offers to make one of the very first things you do in the morning, the wrapping you have, because things happen. Those packages have to go out. If it is your deadline, if it's your handling time, if your handling time says same day as mine does, it goes out same day depending on when the cutoff was. I think 5 a.m. in the morning. If they ordered before 5 a.m., I've got to ship out anything that was ordered. Or if you've got 1 day or 2 day or 3 day or whatever you have, when it's the deadline, it's got to be shipped. And I strongly suggest, as I have before in these videos, do your wrapping in the morning. Why? Because you never know what's going to happen. You never know. Your car could break down, label printer could break, your computers could break. You have time to fix the problem. If you don't start wrapping until 3 p.m. and your post office closes at 5, if you start wrapping at 3 or 4 and you've got 20 packages to wrap and something happens, you're not getting those packages wrapped and taken to the post office on time. Yesterday morning, Friday morning, everything wrapped, ready in the tub. Throughout the day, 3 or 4 more orders came in till about 1. I wrapped all of those, put those in the tub, maybe had a second tub, and put everything there ready to take to the post office. All is well. All was swell. About 6:20 p.m., I looked at my phone, had a couple of sales, so I went and pulled those, took them into my wrapping room, and almost stumbled over. This was at 6:20 p.m. last night, okay? Friday night, I almost tripped over the 2 tubs of packages to be mailed yesterday. It had to go out. It's my handling time. It had to go out. What are you going to do when this happens to you? What did I do? Well, the first thing I did is panic, and then I calmed down fast. Part of me faintly remembered 2 years ago in my post office. I took things in close to 5. I said, well, I'm glad you were still open. And she said, if we're ever closed, you know, the airport's open until 9 p.m. So, okay, whatever you say. And left and always rosy. But yesterday things weren't rosy. At 6:20 p.m., there's no way my post office is still open, and there's no way the downtown Tulsa post office is still open after 6. And I think, what do? I cannot have a blemish on my record. Why do I hound you constantly about always making your deadline, about always challenging negative feedbacks, about always making things right, about always doing everything, your pictures, your description, your item descriptions, item specifics? Why am I always hounding you to do everything exactly right? It's what I do. It's what you should do. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and your business should be priority. If it's a business, if it's not, okay, it's a hobby, don't worry about it. For me, it's serious. It's a business. I want everything right. Everything is always right. Last night at 6:20 p.m., everything wasn't right. I just stood there looking at these 2 tubs to take to the post office that day. Thought, okay, I'm pretty sure 2 years ago, that postal lady said something about, well, you can always take them to the airport. And I thought, I don't even know what what do you mean take them to the airport? And you put them on an airplane? I don't know what she's talking about. But she said it. And it was pretty weird, but I guess the weird was good because I happened to remember that. And I got on Google and I said, Tulsa Post Office Airport, and it gave me an address. And it said open until 9 p.m. today. The last thing I want to do is go to the airport and try to figure this thing out. I don't know how I'm supposed to mail packages at the airport, but there it is. USPS Post Office Airport address. It was some industrial complex thing, and I don't know what to do, but I know good and well I will be there before 9 because I can't miss a deadline. I can't do that to my business. I can't have a flaw like that. I can't be late. It'll be 2.5, 3 days because I can't ship until Monday. It's Friday evening. Technically, I'm 1 business day late. 1 day late on shipping. That's 1 day too late. Don't be 1 day late when you're shipping. Get every package that you ship handled on time according to your promised handling time. You promise your buyers you will handle their items and wrap them and ship them. You promise them when you're going to do that. If you break your promise, what good are you? Your word is everything. What good are you? You're no good if you break your word. You're not. Now, if I had to break my word, it was total negligence, all my fault. But I didn't intentionally break my word. It doesn't make it any better. I still messed up and broke a promise to my buyers. That's unacceptable to me. If I had to, I had to, but I was going down with the fight, which meant I actually got dressed after 6 p.m. at night. You don't know how unusual that is for me. And I loaded up everything. Now, I'm an early to bed, early to rise type of guy. I mean, I'm up often at 3, hardly ever later than 4. I mean, I get up at 4:15 and I feel daylight's burning. I've wasted the whole day. So for me to go somewhere after 6 p.m. is pretty amazing, just because it's nighttime. I've been up, longer in hours than most people who have a normal schedule are awake. I loaded them up, entered that address into Google, and said, take me to this address. And I pulled up, long industrial, I didn't know what I was doing, pulled in and looked over, and this is what I saw. I took a picture of it here. This is it. And so, okay, post office, weird. Okay, great. Maybe, I don't know. Look to the right, and I see this sign, hours until 9 p.m. Okay, but this is the airport. I mean, airplanes were just right here, on the other side of the fence. I mean, this is the airport. I don't know what assembly line thing that you put your package on, and I didn't know what I was going to walk in with my 2 tubs, one on top of the other, just kind of like this, kind of get the door and open it. Everyone's always trying to open the door for me, and I say, no, it's okay. I can do it. I don't need help. And so I get in there, and people are in line, and there are postal clerks there, and it looks like a post office. I had a glimmer of hope. A glimmer. And all of a sudden, the 2 people in front of me, they got up to the line. They were just buying stamps. I don't know, why would you go to the post office to buy stamps on a Friday night? I mean, these people we know their dating life was horrible. We know that. But anyway, I got right up there, just like within 1.5 minutes. Next in line. Put my 2 tubs up there. She said, oh, you've already got these labeled? I said, yeah, if you don't mind scanning them. And she said, I'd be glad to. Scan, print the receipt. Here you are, sir. Thank you very much. I take the receipt and I leave. Done! My packages are mailed on time. I said, oh, I'm so glad that you're open. I'm so glad to know about you here. I didn't know you. I was worried I missed my mailing deadline. She said, well, sir, these may not go out at 8 p.m. tonight. And I'm thinking, well, okay, but you're scanning. What she didn't know is all I cared about is she was scanning them in yesterday. That's all I cared about. They can mail them next week for all I care, really, because I show eBay. I did what I said I would do. I handled within my handling time. But she said, sir, these may not go out at 8 p.m. tonight. And I said, okay. She said, they might leave on the 10 p.m. flight. Okay, great. I said, no problem. As long as you're scanning them in and you just get them out, She said, oh, I'll get them out. But she said, at this point, it might be the 10 o'clock flight. And I said, I would be tickled pink if they go on the 10 o'clock flight. No problem here. Thank you very much. She said, we're open until 4 tomorrow from I don't remember what it is. It was on that sign. Something until 4. I said, good to know. Good to know. And left. Packages mailed. Did I want to do that? Oh, no. Did I want to miss my deadline? Even more, no. What's the last thing I want to do on a Friday night? It's get dressed. Number 2, go to the airport. It's the last thing I want to do on a Friday night. But that's the cost of messing up. That's the cost of my negligence. I pay for my mistakes. The lesson for you is this. Find your area's postal drop-off last resort. That one was mine. 9 p.m. If I haven't got it there at 9 p.m. on a weekday, it's not going out that day. What is yours? You live in a very tiny town? Well, you live next to a little bit larger towns. You live close to a large town? We used to live out in the middle of nowhere. Do you live 25 miles from a large town, as we did? Then you live 25 miles from a large town. Find out in that large town, the next time you go in the post office and find out, if I ever get in a bind, what is the latest I can drop packages off? Please tell me how to do this. And they'll tell you. There's probably one. You might be in an area, I don't know, maybe you're 100 miles from a big town. That would have been tough. I would have driven 100 miles, but I may not have made it in time for a 9 o'clock deadline. I don't know. 100 miles takes, depending on if it's turnpike or highway or not, maybe they have 70, 80 miles per hour and you can make it, no problem. But you need to know what you need to know. What is my worst case scenario? If I miss it, what is the closest post office that I can drop these off, the latest, and keep that in the back of your mind. Because someday you're going to walk in looking for a pair of jeans that just sold on a Friday night at 6:20 p.m. and you're going to look down and you're going to see packages that you forgot to take to the post office. Now, I do have on my phone, I'll show you, I'll put it for you right here. I have a timer app to keep track of all of my timers, all of the things that I do. And I have a daily, Monday through Friday timer that goes off at 3:20 p.m. that says, go to the post office. Because I may not have gone. I have always gone before my timer. Always. Since I created this timer 2-3 years ago, I've always gone to the post office, and when my timer goes off, I just cancel it. Because I've always been. But I always leave my timer. And yesterday, we had a huge lunch. I was sleepy, and I turned off my phone. Well, I put on Do Not Disturb for an hour. I wanted to take a nap. So I put on Do Not Disturb, but whenever I do Not Disturb, all of my timers still get through. I've set up that timer program that it will break through my do not disturb. So people can't call me. But if I've got a timer, it will go off and wake me up, because if I've got a timer, there's a reason for it. Well, I had my usual daily timer at 3:20 p.m. to take the mail to the post office. And before my nap, I was tired. I put on Do Not Disturb. I looked at my timers. I said, oh, well, there's only the post office. That was the only timer coming up yesterday after, at that point for the rest of the day. And I just put skip. There's a skip next option to skip the next timer. I just put skip because I thought, well, that's the postal. I've never needed that. It didn't dawn on me, as it should have. That's the whole reason for that timer. I should have been screaming upon seeing that, screaming to myself, nap. We're not taking no stinking nap today. I've got a postal run. That's the whole purpose for my 3:20 timer. I've got a postal run. And exactly 6:20, it just happened to be exactly 3 hours later, I was going to realize, oh, I messed up exactly 3 hours ago when I just turned off that timer because I was tired, sleepy, lazy, whatever. And that timer, the whole reason for it is so I didn't do what happened yesterday. You should have a timer that goes off. If your phone doesn't have a timer app, download one. Get one. If it's not free, pay the $3 or whatever it is for a lifetime. Just get you an app. You can't afford to do what I did yesterday. And set that timer Monday through Friday to go off at 3:20 p.m. or whatever your time is, that go to the post office. That's what your timer should say. Take the mail, take the mail, take the mail, whatever it is. Every single weekday, take the mail. And before you take a nap, don't turn it off. Because the whole reason for that timer is if you take a nap, it will wake you up and tell you, hey, dummy, you haven't taken the mail yet. Get you a timer, set it for every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday.
Set a timer for every single day and just always let it go off and turn it off. Always. I'll never turn off that timer again. It'll wake me up, no problem. That's what it's there for. You also need to find your post office of last resort. What is the place closest to you that's open the longest? And you need to figure that out for whatever your area is. If you live in a tiny, tiny rural dirt road country little town, you've got to find out what is the longest I can drive and still make a late closing postal service. I know this is bragging. I usually don't brag about things that I really am good at. Usually I brag about ridiculous things. I really am good at not missing handling times. I was not good yesterday. It was a horrible, no good, very bad feeling. If you ever find yourself in that position, you need to have your backup plan. Where can we take this that's still open? There will be someplace, hopefully, at least until 9 p.m. I mean, if you find packages you haven't mailed after 9, sorry, that's too bad. You're going to miss this one. It's going to be a mark. All of those packages are going to show late handling time. It turns out that if they arrive on time, or I think eBay says if your buyer doesn't complain about late delivery, something like that, it's not a mark against you. But who wants to take those two chances? If it arrives on time, you're mailing it late. If it arrives on time, but I mailed it, I'm not going to chance that. What if my buyer doesn't like, I mailed it, I made a promise to my buyer and I broke my promise. He said he would mail these today and he didn't mail them until Monday. I didn't want any of that. It's not worth it to me. My business is too important. In my business, how I do one thing is how I do everything. Sales are tremendous, and I don't know why. For months now, for most of this summer, for almost all of the summer, all I read, you see lots of YouTube videos. I watch everything, so you don't have to. I'll tell you about anything important. All of the YouTube, eBay videos were how bad summer sales were. I never experienced that. I don't like to talk about my sales very much in this group. You might, if you've been with me a long time. I really don't. I certainly don't brag about my sales to you. That wouldn't be right. I mean, of course I have good sales, or else you should be listening to someone else. But I don't want to tell you, I just don't want to talk about them all the time. I don't want to show you numbers all the time. I don't want to do anything like that because that doesn't really, you compete against you. I want you to be better today than you were yesterday. You can try to be better than me, that's fine, but I don't know. I don't think that's healthy for you to see if I'm highly successful, and I am. I don't think it's good for me to talk about it very much. Other than I'm good at what I do, and so you have reason to listen to me. I've told you that eBay rewards you if you're consistent and always do what you say, but eBay's wildly rewarding. And I've been increasing my number of listings per day, and eBay's just been wildly. I can't keep my inventory up. I just keep selling more than I list, just constantly. I don't know what I want to do. I don't like having an inventory dropping all the time. It's just been dropping all summer. I'm trying to list as much as I can over my selling accounts. I'm still losing inventory that's selling too fast. I really think it's because I do what I say. I do what I tell you to do. I practice what I preach. You need to do it too. So find out what you do when you miss your handling time deadline. What's the worst case place you can take them to in an emergency? And that's an emergency. That's a business emergency. Find out what it is. Put it in your phone. Do something. Find out. Remember it. Put the date. Put the time in Evernote. Say, last resort post office, 9 p.m. Here's the address. Google it. Next town. Here's how long it takes to get there. It takes me, fortunately, about 12 minutes to get to our airport. I mean, Tulsa's pretty wonderful, really, as far as getting to places fast. I mean, the airport's on the other side of town, almost outside of the city limits, about 12 minutes to get there. It takes me 3 minutes to get to the post office from where we live. It takes 3 minutes and 20 seconds or 30 seconds to get to the UPS store. It takes me about 2.3 minutes to get to a place I can drop off FedEx. I mean, it's just wonderful that where we live as far as the location. And Tulsa itself is very helpful when it comes to traffic if you're not in rush hour. If you're in morning rush hour, 5 o'clock rush hour, good luck. It's still tough. It's as tough as in any town. But off hours, when it's not rush hour, you can get anywhere fast. You may not have that. You need to find out how long it takes you to get to where you need to go to ship late, because this might happen to you someday. I hope it doesn't. It's a terrible feeling. I hope it doesn't happen to you.